She had no idea they were going. She knew they were going to, so they would do, or she would surprise him and take him to places. They traveled all over the world.
Beautiful.
It was just this wonderful love affair. Love affair.
Right.
You know?
Well, I do want to talk to you a little bit about what happened at the hospital.
Yes. Yes.
She went in to give birth.
Right?
She never came out.
We walked in. I mean, we had a whole entourage. You know, I mean, we went thick. I mean, we were all in Cedars-Sinai. We took over the whole waiting area. I mean, we just got everything. And so they already had an 18-month-old who was Charles Spurgeon Johnson, the fifth. And so we go in. Here we are, and that's her mom right there. And she's all happy, and we're expecting Langston. And it's just all good, you know? And we are expecting this wonderful baby. That is the only piece of film that we have with her, with this new baby. And then, you know, less than 12 hours later, she's dead. She's dead. She's dead. She's gone. I mean, how could that be? How could we have lost her?
Right.
Just
Perfectly healthy.
perfectly healthy.
Yes.
And we're talking about a marathon runner. We're talking about a woman who swam. We're talking about a skydiver. We're talking about a race car driver.
We're going to have more of Kira's story when we return. For those of you who are staying with us for the full hour, more of Judge Hatcher's story. Please keep watching, and please make sure you look for Mothers Matter docuseries. Go to 11alive.com/Mothers Matter, and the conversation always continues at Sister Circle TV. More Judge Hatcher when we return.
Here with Judge Hatchett, and she has been sharing her very personal story of her loss of her daughter-in-law, Kira, during childbirth. This happens a lot.
Yeah, too much. It happens too much. Okay, so we go in the hospital. You know, we're all excited, and she has the baby, and fortunately, Langston is born perfectly healthy. And then my son notices blood in her catheter. And so he calls for help. And they're like, oh, no, it's no big deal. She's just having a little bleeding, blah, 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 blah. And so it keeps going, keeps going. But this is what is so, and this is just going to knock you out. They said, we're going to do a CAT scan. CAT scan stat, which means immediately.
Right.
That happened because we noticed the blood about 4 o'clock. 6 o'clock, CAT scan stat, we're going to do this. 7 o'clock comes, 8 o'clock comes, 9 o'clock comes, no CAT scan. They start doing blood transfusions. We're just going to give her blood transfusions. She will be fine. In fact, the doctor said, if I have to go back in, I may have nicked her bladder. She'll be back in 15 minutes. It'll take us 15 minutes to do this. It's no big deal. So because Charles, who is 18 months old, had been there since noon, Langston was born around 2:20, we went home, right? I would have never, you understand, I would have never.
I know. We know.
If I had thought, I would have called everybody I knew. I would have turned that hospital out. But I trusted them. I trusted them that she was going to be just fine. So fast forward, my son is asking, what's going on, what's going on? They let her hemorrhage, understand, for 10 hours. Before they got her back to surgery, they did not get her back to surgery until after midnight. When they made the incision, she coded immediately. But she's a fighter. What's going on? What's going on? They let her hemorrhage, understand, for 10 hours. Before they got her back to surgery, they did not get her back to surgery until after midnight. When they made the incision, she coded immediately. But she's a fighter. She got back. She came back. They kept working on her. They kept working on her. And about 2:30, she was gone. We lost her forever. My son called me at 2. They called me at midnight and said, Mom, they're taking her back in. I said, fine. I live on the side of optimism. I said, fine. Then he said, at 2, he called me. He said, Mom, things have gone terribly wrong. And I said, what's going on? And he hung up. And I kept calling back. I called his mother, her mother. I called everybody. No one answered. I'm thinking we've just got a bad signal. I just can't get through. A little after 4 o'clock, the door of the condo opens. I'm awake, but I'm in the room with Charles V. And he comes in and he says, Mom, I need to talk to you. Kira passed. How could that be? How could that be? This vibrant woman. But I'm going to tell you, when they did that C-section, let's be very clear. It was her second C-section, and everybody needs to hear this. The cut time for a second C-section should be anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes because you have to go back through the incision, back through the scar tissue, right? For the second C-section. She is perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with her. Do you know what the cut time for Langston's birth was? Do you want to know?
Yes.
It was less than 2 minutes. He butchered her. He butchered her. And I invite you all to go. I have been very transparent with the complaint that's been filed against Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles and all the hospitals. It is on my website, thehatchetfirm.com. You can read it verbatim. I did not embellish. I did not speculate. It is the medical record verbatim. He butchered her, and no one did anything to save her life. All the reports say that if she had been back into surgery by 6 o'clock, she would have been alive. They did not get her back into the operating room until after midnight. The doctor did not come in to make the incision until 12:22 in the morning. She could have been saved.
Yes.
Now, this is a tragedy.
Why does this happen more often than not to Black women?
What we're finding out is that they want to say, oh, we don't get proper prenatal care, we don't do this, that, and the other. That was not Kira's story. She had the best, everything. She was in great shape. What we're finding out is that Black women are not being listened to. We are not being listened to, and in too many cases, it is my opinion that we are seen as less than human. And our job has to be, and why I'm so grateful to you today to tell this story, is that we have to sound the alarm and that we have to be our own best advocates. And if something seems not right, then you have to keep, but we did that. We kept asking, and they said, oh, it's fine. But when Kira died, that doctor went out the back door. He didn't even talk to my son. He went out the back door and sent the other attending doctors out to talk to her. And so we waited for a year because Charles, we just needed to just
grieving.
the process.
Yes.
But he made the decision, Mother's Day of 17, to go public. And I'm so grateful that he has.
Yes, I am
because he has told this story repeatedly all over this country. And I am enormously proud of the work that he's done because we're going to save some lives.
Yes. Let's talk about
Because
it.
if I didn't know,
Yeah.
and I'm an informed woman who I believe that I am smart and astute and I try to be on top of stuff, if I didn't know that women were dying like this, that means a whole lot of people didn't know.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So you have teamed up with our parent company, Tegna.
Yes.
Let's talk about this partnership and why you
Yes.
felt like, obviously, it's so important.
It is so important that we tell the story. Mothers Matter, and Charles spoke on the National Mall the Sunday before Mother's Day, and we had, lots of people from all over the country, and we have been on everything that you can imagine. I mean, all kinds of media, but very importantly, we've been on the Hill lobbying. And there's legislation pending both in the House and in the Senate.
Beautiful.
And Charles testified before the House Committee, the Health House Committee, and there was an old House of Representative guy who was from the Deep South, and he said, I've been on this committee for more than 20 years, and I tell you, Mr. Johnson, I've never heard a more compelling testimony.
Wow.
There were men on that panel who were in tears when Charles finished.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, tears don't help us. And when Charles spoke at Kira's funeral, this is what he said: we've got to move from pain to purpose. And that's what this is about.
Yeah.
So let me also say to you, that the hardest part for me is watching these two little boys without their mom. So Charles, at 3, he's 4 now, but last February he came into my room and I said, sweetie, because I heard him wake up. So I got up and he said, Grandma G, do you have my mommy's cell phone? And I said, no. He said, I need you to find my mommy's cell phone, Grandma G, because I need you to call her and tell her I want her to come home because I don't want her to be in heaven. I want her to be with us. So he turned 4 in September. The 2-year-old then says to me, Grandma G, is Mommy coming to Charles's birthday party? I want her to come to the birthday party. When a child says to you at 20 months old, I want to go to heaven because I want to see my mommy, what do? How do you process that? And my prayer is that the greatest honor that we can pay Kira is that we have to send other mothers home with their children.
Yes.
And that is why I'm here. That's why I'm grateful to you. That's why I appreciate you for allowing me to tell this story. Because the women and men who come to me and say, Judge, now I see it differently. Or a woman who stopped me at a hotel the other day, I was having dinner, and said, my daughter's best friend, you saved her life because she was hemorrhaging, and because we knew Kira's story, we knew what to do.
Yes.
So we need senators written, we need House of Congress members written, we've got to get this legislation passed, and we've got to have a different standard. Georgia is the worst of every state. We are number 50th in terms of childbirth-related deaths.
Judge Hadget, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yes.
We love Charles and the boys. Yes.
Next time I have to bring the boys.
Yes, that would be great.
Oh my God, they need to come and
Feel all this love.
Oh yes, I have to bring them with me.
Absolutely.
You will love them.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal story. And I know today lives have been saved by this
Yes.
information. To see more of Judge Hadget's story.